Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the NBA Front Office Show. We've got some stuff to dive into today that is NBA related. Of course, I noticed I didn't say a lot of stuff to dive into. There's not a ton of news topics out there right now, but we do still have NBA playoffs to get into. We do have an injury as well to discuss, surgery actually. So a few things that we need to discuss here today. Trevor Lane, you can find me on Twitter at Trevor_Lane, on Instagram at Trevor Lane NBA, Keith Smith at Keith Smith NBA over on the Twitter machine. Keith, let me be the first to say, congratulations on the Boston Celtics advancing to the NBA Finals.
Oh, geez, don't say that yet. It's not
It's
done.
done.
Your jinx will not work
done.
here. No, it is not. There's still work to be done yet. There's still, at least two games to be played, or at least one, maybe two games to be played in this series. We'll see. It's, I would be lying if I didn't say I feel good about their chances. Miami's by the end of that game,
they have they're so. I mean, Jimmy Butler is gone. Kyle Lowry's gone.
Yeah. Their guys they could barely move. By the end of it, and they missed a million shots in that game. Now it's funny because I've seen some people saying, well, the Heat just need to shoot better. I mean, yeah, there's truth to that, but Boston was letting a lot of the guys they want take shots, and then some of the guys they were running up to contest and getting up in their faces. So yeah, it's I don't know, where you go. I tend to believe once you get to about game 5 in a series anyway, there's not much more left adjustment-wise, provided, everybody's available to play. I'm not going to say healthy because I don't think, both sides are dealing with all sorts of guys who aren't healthy. But it's at that point, it becomes about execution. And, the Celtics, it's kind of the story of their whole year, right? They were awful in the first half. They've been great in the second half, at times completely dominant in the second half of the year. And that's how this game 5 played out. They were just kind of in the first half. I mean, they did enough to just kind of hang around. And then they were dominant in the second half. And I'll say too, I know people who follow me on Twitter are tired of hearing it, but it's the turnovers. If they don't turn it over, they don't lose these games. Once they keep control of the ball, that's it. The Heat can't find ways to score. They can't get anything going against Boston's half-court defense, and it's over. And I'll say Game 6, back in Boston, super important. I've had a million coaches over the years say this. Some version of this phrase is, get them down early and get them thinking about vacation. And that's what you want to do. Get them down early, turn it into a party the rest of the way, and go. That's going to be your goal if you're the Celtics. Now, can't come out too hyped up because that'll be messy, but just get them down early and get this thing close.
I would be shocked if anything else happens in Game 6. I mean, this is the Heat. They looked completely done, and I mean the Celtics are not healthy, but they are by far the healthier team. I mean, Jimmy, just watching their movements out there, Kyle Lowry can't move. Jimmy Butler can't move. Like, he is not right. He can't move at all. That was very evident. And watching that game, I was like, the Celtics aren't playing that well. The Heat just can't do anything. And that's not a shot. I'm saying the Celtics can play much, much better.
Sure.
Like, they've got higher levels they can get to. I'm not saying the Celtics won because the Heat are so injured. I think the Celtics are incredibly talented and can definitely win regardless. But it was very clear that the Celtics didn't have to be at their best to win that game based on that version of the Heat that we saw. I mean, unless somehow something happens and 2 weeks get removed and the Heat get the rest for 2 weeks or something, that's the only way I could see this series being close in Game 6 because Miami just has nothing left. But I guess there's always a chance that, something miraculous, Duncan Robinson gets insanely hot because, he's well rested. But that's about it. I mean, it looked like the Heat kind of mentally went, yeah, we don't have it right now.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. I think eventually you pass the point of no return with all things with injuries. And once you get there, that's it. There's just not much more you can do. You're going to, it just becomes too much to overcome. And I think that's kind of, where we got to with this team. So I think what we're looking at here in game 6 is the Celtics are, hopefully they will come out, extremely focused and ready to go and, businesslike and get this done because they know, I mean, they very clearly know, they said it multiple times after the game, Jason Tatum, Al Horford, Jaylen Brown, and Ime Udoka, they just did this to the Bucks where they came back, they were down 3-2. They went on the road and won, and they got back home and won in Game 7. So that's what they know the Heat are looking to do here against them. So, let's see. I mean, there's the old phrase is that's why you play the game. So let's see where it goes. But yeah, I mean, I would be lying if I didn't say I feel confident because I do feel confident. But it's not now. It's translating that into actual action and getting it done.
If I'm Miami, I think we may be at a point where, just based on what we've seen out of Kyle Lowry, you just need to go back to Gabe Vincent. And he was certainly more productive. I just don't think Lowry has, I don't know exactly how injured, but he doesn't look like he can move on the floor.
Yeah.
That tends to be a problem in basketball.
Yeah, just a little bit, right? I mean, you kind of need to be able to do that. Yeah, I mean, the best thing he's doing out there is taking charges, and that's not who that's something he does quite well, arguably better than just about anybody in the league. But that's not all Kyle Lowry does. So when that's the best thing he's doing, that's not great. So yeah, it's really hard to watch him. You can tell Jimmy Butler doesn't have the same explosion right now. Max Strus is just kind of limping around through these games. Doesn't look great. PJ Tucker, it looks like he's got no lift left on his jump shot. And the Celtics are getting, I'm going to knock on wood, healthy-ish at the right time. Rob Williams looks good and bouncy and looks okay, and Marcus Smart played in Game 5. Didn't have a huge impact, but just him being out there was big. And Jason Tatum, that shoulder is clearly bugging him, but they were able to get through it. So yeah, we'll see. But yeah, let's see. Want to flip to the other side?
Yeah, let's talk about that. So I think the most and I haven't even looked at the line yet, but the most likely outcome, just narrative-wise and just the general feel of the series, I think the Warriors close things out tonight against the Mavs. Are you thinking the same thing, or can Dallas really make a? Oh yeah, we've got the Warriors are a 6.5 point favorite tonight.
I was just looking it up. Yeah, that feels about right. Yeah, no, I think the Warriors close it out. I think they made that run in Game 4, where they had really kind of played horribly all game long. That made that run. And then that was kind of, I think, almost the message of, hey, we can do this whenever we want to. And that was just not great to see from the Mavs side. I think this is another one, kind of opposite situation, right, from the Celtics, in that it's Game 5. They're up 3-1, but I think the Warriors, they don't want to go back to Dallas. They want to finish this thing off, put their feet up, in a week from today, host Game 1 of the NBA Finals. So I tend to think this is probably one where Dallas keeps it close for a little while, and then there's eventually it's that Warriors avalanche, gets them and runs them right out of the gym.
Yeah, that's what I'm expecting to happen as well. I'm hoping it's not a blowout, but that's what we've been seeing a lot of in this series and in this round of the playoffs period, as we've been seeing a lot of blowouts. So I'm kind of expecting it, but hoping that we'll at least get a close game all the way through, and the Mavs will be able to fight here. A lot of it really is going to come down to the threes for the Mavs. If they can get their threes to drop at a high rate, okay, then we're going to get a game. If not, if we get Game 3 performance out of Reggie Bullock or any of the Mavs shooters, then that's going to be it. It's going to be, I think, an early night for the Mavs.
Yeah. Yeah, I completely agree. That's exactly what it's funny. As much as the Celtics series comes down to them, turning the ball over or not turning the ball over, Dallas's whole playoff run has been, are they hitting shots or not? And I realize that's kind of true of everybody, but it like they're an extreme example of that. Like if they're not making shots, they're gonna struggle. So yeah, I think I think we're in a position here where good run for Dallas. Better season than expected, especially, much like Boston, where they were at the midpoint of the season, didn't look very good. Great run in the second half, lots to build off of, and then we go from there.
Yeah, Dallas last game, 47% from 3, 50% from the field. I would expect there to be some regression there. The Warriors, particularly, their defense is going to lock in going back home. And again, I mean, I'm hoping that this gets extended and we get more basketball because that's always a good thing. But I would imagine the Warriors do take care of business tonight and then advance to the NBA Finals. So let's say that both of these series end in the next game. So game 6, game 5 for the West, done. Then what?
Yeah, so unlike the early rounds of the playoffs, there's no push-up for the start. The finals is locked in. You can imagine why. It's the, for all that it's not fair to say it's the NBA Super Bowl because it's not a one day event. It is it's still their championship round. So what happens is they start locking in hotels, they lock in dates, they do all this stuff. And so what happens here is guaranteed by the time we got to these final 4 teams, the NBA had hotels locked in Boston, San Francisco, Dallas, and Miami. And then they just release the ones they don't need when they go. Right. But the bigger thing, of course, as rules almost all things in sports, is television. They want to know when the games are. So game 1 of the NBA Finals, regardless of when these series end, whether they both go 7 or not, is Thursday, June 2nd. That's a week from today. So that's, again, Warriors, you want to get off your feet and get that week off. If you're Boston, boy, do they want those 6 days off. Yeah. If they can get it. So a week from today, Thursday, and then as the finals always is, it's really spread out. There's a couple days in between games and everything else. So it'll be all spread out all the way, if it goes deep, all the way into late into June. But we do know, I want to say it's like June 20th, maybe-ish, in that range is where was the last day set for the finals. But we also know, gosh, as hard as this is to believe, 4 weeks from today, the NBA draft is 4 weeks from today. So we're it really doesn't stop, as much as we're looking forward to the finals and all that. We're only 4 weeks out from the draft. So, I mean, things are going to get crazy busy for these teams, here over the next month with draft out and everything. And us, yes, of course. And we'll be here to cover all of it, of course. So one thing I don't think we mentioned, and I apologize if I missed it as I was trying to look something up. Otto Porter Jr. Sounds like he's not going to play in game 5 for the
Warriors.
Golden State Warriors. So that's, we'll see. It's a foot injury for him. Hopefully that's not something that's going to keep him out long term.
I mean, he didn't play in game 4, so we saw a bit more Jonathan Kuminga, Moses Moody. If it's a close game, that probably means more minutes for Andrew Wiggins. But again, in a blowout scenario, we're probably seeing more Kuminga there filling in. But yeah, I mean, this is where having a week off would be nice for guys like Porter Jr. to rest up a little bit and prepare for the next round.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, you need it, right? You want to have that the rest of the way. So yeah, absolutely huge.
All right. So with that, let's get into an injury here. Khem Birch had surgery on his knee. Not great for a big man. A guy you've been pretty high on him since his Orlando days. Usually a good thing though. Like if you're gonna have surgery, have it now and not in August or something. So hopefully this gives him time to recover and get ready for next season.
Yeah, he is the only true center on the Raptors roster. So that's also for now. Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of important that he's healthy. They acquired him last year after Orlando. My brain is mush, man. I need.
What day is it today, Keith?
Today is Thursday.
There you go. It's almost Friday.
It's not second Friday, and tomorrow won't be third Friday of the week.
Keith thought yesterday was Friday for anybody who missed yesterday's episode.
That was bad. It's okay to be one day off.
Right.
We've all been there. 2 days, that's a problem. Yeah, so Orlando waived him during buyout season last year. He ended up joining the Toronto Raptors. Then he re-signed with the Raptors. Had a pretty big role as a rotation guy for Toronto. Didn't have the best season, kind of struggled, but he's still kind of a semi-important piece there. So you want to get him healthy healthy, get him back to, on the floor for Toronto. So, and as you said, yeah, these surgeries, this is important. We did get news too. Zach LaVine has had his surgery now as well. And again, that's another one where everybody, it's pretty rare when a guy's having surgery in May, unless it's like a torn ACL or Achilles or something, that you don't hear something along the lines of, expected to make a full recovery by training camp. But, it with Birch case, it was an arthroscopic surgery to clean up some loose debris, they called it, in his knee. So I don't know exactly what that means. That doesn't sound
That's not something you want in your knee.
Yeah. You're not supposed to, you're not supposed to have loose body parts, period, right? Like, that's not good. So loose debris in your knee, that sounds bad. But
I have some loose debris in my office here, and there's a little bit of a box left over from putting together a bookshelf, and some loose debris, but that's okay. I can clean that stuff up. A little bit different when you have to actually go into someone's knee to clean it up. Not a good thing.
Yeah. As I forget who was that coined it, the phrase, but the old phrase of "it's only minor surgery when it's not happening to you."
Oh yes.
Is how that one goes. So yeah, but all the best to Khem Birch. We're hopeful he'll get back here. Hey, did you see? This is a complete aside. I'm only bringing this up just because I was looking at my tweet deck. Did you see Brendan Aronson joined Leeds?
No,
our guy from the U.S. national team. Yeah, he's going to Leeds, going to my Premier League
that's
club.
Exciting.
So, I'm super excited. That's just another thing to be excited about for Leeds after they barely avoided relegation and stayed up.
There you go. So all coming up positive there for Leeds.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, they're coming on, man. They're gonna be all right next year. It's the top half of the table again, like they were.
Thank goodness they didn't. They didn't get relegated. Never come into American sports, relegation. And you know what? I understand, like, people are all for it and stuff. I understand, like, it's different culturally. I just can't see it. Like, I would be, like, you could never really rebuild. And so maybe that's the positive thing. But,
yeah,
I mean, like, if you lose too much, you're out of the league. Like, fans wouldn't feel so great about that, I would imagine. That wouldn't go over well here.
And we have minor leagues. These clubs have their youth systems, which are in effect their minor leagues. We have actual minor league teams. So where would you draw from? There's not a next league down that isn't affiliated. So you'd have to break those direct team affiliations, because you couldn't have the Lakers and the South Bay Lakers both in the NBA, because then what do you do? And all that. Plus I mean, I don't know how many people realize too, the average G League team plays in like very small gyms, like they're a mid-major college size gym. So you're not these aren't some of these teams in the championship in like over in England, like they're still playing in 50,000 seat stadiums. Like it's they're not playing in these little tiny stadiums. So
could you imagine if you told right now, if you told the Pistons, the Magic, and the Rockets, sorry, you're not in the NBA anymore?
Yeah, right. And that I don't know who the best 3 G League teams were. I don't even begin to know. But yeah, you're in the NBA. Like, I mean, it would never work. So
not going to happen. Not going to happen. But interesting the way that works. But speaking of Europe,
sure,
Keith, there's a EuroLeague championship factoid here that you want to get into, and I'm just throwing it to you because I'm not even going to try to pronounce the name here.
Vasilije Micic. Vasilije Micic, he's a name, if you're a deep NBA fan, you probably know. He was drafted several years ago by the Philadelphia 76ers in 2014 is when he was drafted, in the process years, late in the second round, as a kind of a shot in the dark player a little bit back then. He was only 20 years old at the time that Philly drafted him when he entered the draft. Clearly he's never come over. He was traded to his draft rights were traded to the Oklahoma City Thunder in the trade that sent Al Horford to the Thunder. So that's how that was part of the get. It was that and a first round pick to eat the contract of Horford is what the Thunder took on. How it works with draft rights are retained forever as long as you continue to offer the player the minimum required tender, which in the case of Micic is a fully non-guaranteed 1-year deal. you can, as long as you continue to offer that, if it's a first round pick, the most long lasting first round pick draft rights out there are Fran Vasquez of the Orlando Magic.
Remember that?
Yeah,
was that what, like
a long time ago.
2011?
He's actually retired now. That's a good question.
It was a while
ago. It might even be further back than that.
It may be farther.
He he actually retired this past year. So the 2005
man, even farther, and he never came over. It was just like
never came over.
Like the pick was just lit that pick on fire.
Yep. And in the case of him, the Magic have to just offer him the rookie scale deal each year. Just have to make it offered. Now, what happens with those ones is a little weird too, because it just has to be out there that the player can sign that. First round picks do carry a cap hold. This year, this may come into play again for the Magic. They may be getting to the point too where they just renounce these draft rights. He's retired now and is never going to play. But there is a process. What teams can do is they can, the player and the team agree that the player will not sign a contract that league year. And then that removes their first round cap hold from the book. So like Orlando looks like they might be a cap space team. They don't necessarily want $4 million of that going to be a cap hold for Fran Vasquez. So so that may be, we may see that. Or like I said, they may finally be to the point where, let's just renounce his rights because he's never coming over. And there's no real reason to hang on to those. But back to Vasilije Micic, why we started there is this guy's actually pretty good. He was named the MVP of the EuroLeague Final Four, back-to-back MVPs of the EuroLeague Final Four. He plays for Efes, which is a Turkish club. Names people might recognize from Efes: Shane Larkin, who was an NBA guard for a while, has become a true star over in Turkey in the EuroLeague, and he's actually got the Turkish citizenship, so he can play for Turkey now on the international level as well. And then you have Tibor Pleiss. I don't know if you remember that name.
I do remember that name.
He bounced around a couple teams as well. So he had 19 points in the championship game. They beat Real Madrid for the title. Real Madrid also, ton of guys, Gershon Yabusele, Vincent Poirier, a couple guys I know Celtics fans are familiar with. So there was a lot of guys there. But back to Micic, he there's now buzz. He's maybe ready to make the jump to the NBA. He's 28 now. So just turned 28 in January, so it'd be turned 29 mid-season. Whether that comes with the Thunder or not, we'll see. Or they could go a different direction. But this past year, Micic averaged 18.2 points per game and 5 assists per game. 5 assists, that's basically equivalent to like 9 or 10 in the United States. Much, much harder to get assists internationally. Well, I shouldn't say internationally because you can rack them up in China pretty easy. But in the European leagues, it has to basically directly lead to a shot.
Yeah, you see these times in the NBA where, and assists are it's easy to manipulate assists, right? Because you'll see where, a guard dribbles up, passes to the wing, guy on the wing, does a few moves, crossover, cuts back the other way, drives to the basket, up, and then finishes. Did that pass really create the shot? No, the guy created the shot one-on-one, but they'll still credit the assist. So it's just, it's interesting the way that's counted. And so there's like a basket at 2 points is 2 points, but assists, there's a lot more room for interpretation in there.
Big time. Yeah. And 47% shooter from the field this past season, 49% the year prior, 37% from three this year, 38.8 last season. Assists and scoring numbers hold basically true. He's also a pretty good free throw shooter. So there's a good chance we're going to see him, whether it's this coming year, maybe down the line, but it does sound like he's maybe ready to consider giving the NBA a try, and if so, then we'll see him over here in the NBA. But we just wanted to bring it up because he's now a name, and we know some of our fans who are a little bit deeper into it. Appreciate that kind of level of detail.
I like it, and I like that you do a better job pronouncing it than I do.
Somebody's gonna come back and be like, you butchered it too. I think I get that.
It never.
I tend to do okay with this ones.
All right. I think that's about it for today. Obviously, we'll find out tomorrow. I mean, who knows? In a few hours, the Warriors could be booking their tickets to the NBA Finals. The Celtics might not be far behind. Feels like that is what we are on a collision course for. If that is the series we get, of course, we'll break that down. We'll have plenty of time to get into that.
Yep.
Oh, man. Here we go. I can't believe, like, on one hand, it feels weird that we're getting close to, like, the finals, like the end of the NBA season. But then when I look back, I'm like, it has been a long season. It's certainly been a long one getting to this point.
It's been, I was explaining, I was actually having this conversation with my dad yesterday. It has been since the bubble started, basically nonstop.
Yep.
We've had very, very little downtime. It has been one thing right into the other. Very short off seasons that rolled right into stuff and all that. So yeah, it is one of those things where you really kind of look at it and say, yeah, it's good we're back on this regular calendar. We talked about it already, and we don't need to go deep into it, but we're month and a half away from a little bit of downtime and slow time for us too. But yeah, yep. It does feel weird that, like, man, finals start next week. Draft is a month from now. Like, it's just all coming so rapidly. But this is the best time of the year. Right? We got everything moving forward.
This, like we talked about the other day, this does not mean the end of the season does not mean things are winding down. It actually means things are ramping up.
Yep.
Which is amazing.
Yep.
Amazing.
Yeah. And here we'll have our team off-season previews. We're going to try to get into those now that we're doing a daily show. We don't need to try to map out how to cram all those into every 2 or 3 shows a week. We'll try to get into those, and then we'll definitely be doing the free agent previews by position. I know people really liked those, and then you can yell at us because we'll try to show our rankings and everything like that. Everybody can yell at us and scream and tell us we're wrong. So
good times. Always fun. All right, everybody. Well, thank you for joining us. Make sure that you do subscribe to the NBA Front Office YouTube channel. Don't forget to turn on those notifications. And, of course, make sure that you are following us over on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever it is that you listen to podcasts. And we certainly do appreciate those 5-star ratings and reviews. Till next time, everybody. See ya and stay safe.